Hello and welcome to Cinemando Malayalam. That's right.
That's right. Yeah, we're here.
I got all of our shirts in all these languages, and I was so thrilled to see a tie-dye version, which you can also get. Just follow the links below. I know I'm doing a big sales pitch early, but I'm so excited. I just got these. I'm very excited.
That looks really cool. I like the
Doesn't
tie-dye
it?
version. It has a nice pastel vibe to it, and
Really
it's
cool.
cool. And well, listen, it's a Malayalam shirt, and it's a Malayalam movie. We're going to take a quick. We're going to do a review of a film called Nayattu, which came out in 2021. It translates in English to The Hunt, and it's kind of this political survival thriller film that was directed and produced by Martin Prakkat and written by Shahi Kabir. And it stars Joju George, Nimisha Sajayan, and Kunchacko Boban in the lead roles. And there are some other folks, of course, in it. And it's a really, Kathy watched it and said, "Hey, Mark, you should check this out."
Oh my God, this blew me away. Some members recommended it in our Discord and in our Slack channel. Thank you guys, Girshan, Ken, Agoda, Manoj. I'm saying all this stuff wrong. I know I am, but no, I do love you guys. And I know how it's spelled. But yeah, we have this membership, and if you join our channels, there's the membership that's kind of private, and then there's the membership that's more public, that's easy and free. But we get a lot of our ideas for the show from these direct contacts on our discussions. So you should definitely join up and say hi.
Please do that. And this movie, which is available to watch on Netflix here in the US, as a lot of Indian films are, along with Amazon, is, it's a hunt. And so you think, okay, in American movies or in a lot of other films, there's 5 minutes of preamble story or 10 minutes, and then you get into this, chase. Here, which I thought was interesting, it's a slower, it builds up. It's like the first 30, 45 minutes, you feel like what's going on in this town, in this region, in this state, what's the political turmoil, how's the police relationship with the townspeople and with the minister. So you need to have that to understand why these three cops are on the run.
Yeah. It's important. And I love how they set that up. Yeah, you're right. It's very important because you kind of get to see them at work for a while. You get to see the one person who's just a constant thorn in their side, and they can't really do a lot with him because he knows people. He's kind of got like someone who's kind of protecting him. He's a relative of one of the cops, so they kind of let him get away with shit that most people wouldn't get away with. So you're kind of seeing already a little bit of corruption in there, a little bit of favoritism. And the acting, this is what I love about Malayalam films. Very down to earth and gritty. You feel like you're on the street with them. You feel like you're involved in the drama. It's, again, the low-key kind of a lot of discussions in offices and rooms talking about stuff out on the street with people. It's not the big slow-mo action kind of Martin stuff. This is like real, almost documentary. It's so, but that's what I love about Malayalam films.
And the actors look like real people. They're not necessarily the most gorgeous, or they're dressed to look, and so they look like average folks living their lives. And what's interesting in a lot of these hunt movies, a lot of them are like, well, why don't the people that are running away, the fugitives, just just go back and talk to somebody and realize it's a mistake. That always happens. Like I always think, why are they running away from this cop? Just figure it out. But in this one, there's that build up, the first 30, 45 minutes gives you the reason why when they take off, they can't go back. It's political. There's something else to it that really like, oh yeah, they can't, they really have to run. And that was always a problem for me, these hunt movies. Like, they could just maybe call a reporter or call a different kind and figure, hey, this is not me. I didn't do this. But here they can't escape that. So they really have to run.
And just great performances. We have the actors are Kunchacko Boban, Joju George, and Nimisha Sajayan. And you see they are a great trio because you have different levels of involvement, but they build the stakes. So you have one person who's basically a bystander. So you get that level of involvement, like basically, oh yeah, I'll go along with you guys. And they're basically a witness and a bystander. Then you get the two guys who are kind of varying degrees of involvement. Like one guy is the main actor, Kunchacko Boban, is like, he's kind of the instigator. He's like probably the most corrupt. He's the dominant force.
Yeah, he's a cop who's sort of like, always seems to be getting into trouble or whatever, just maybe, and he sort of like is half involved, and then so you're right, all three levels of involvement. So the Kunchacko character is more like the boss, and like, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, but then he realized where are we going, and it just gets really interesting stuff.
I love to film that brings you into the equation. Like many of us have had the situation. You're at a party, everybody's really drunk. You need a lift. You see some people leaving, but they seem really drunk. You're like, I don't know if I should get in a car with these guys. And they're like, no, I'm fine. And then you see that decision making, like, should we get in the car with these guys? Okay, fine. I'm going to get in the car with these guys. Or even those guys deciding to drive this drunk. In the meantime, the worst case scenario happens. Right. It's like so they basically get into a collision, not surprisingly,
with the guy on a.
And what I love too is it wasn't our main instigator who was driving, and that's what makes it even better. Is that he's the one that is basically the force behind what happens after. They easily they would have gotten in trouble. They were drunk driving. That's not good. So they were fucked. So you see the stakes of like, oh no, that like. We've seen a million movies. You're driving down the road, you hit someone. What do? No one's around.
Right.
Do you just drive away? Can you get away with it? There's that thinking. Like, I love that they sort of bring that to the audience to make those judgments also. Like, how corrupt are you? Would you risk ruining your entire life? Or would you do the right thing and go in and just take, So I love that. But in the meantime, they didn't just hit anybody. The main person that has been the troublemaker.
Right. So
now they get a whole other political thing to deal with. It was like, oh my God, what do you do?
Right. And so that's the reason, and that's why it works, because they do have to escape. They have to get away. And where do they go? It's that
classic thing. What do you do? Like, okay, let's just get out of here. You just get on the run. Like, what? You're not planning this. And then here's this poor woman who basically just we're going, fuck, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I feel like
then you have
get out of it.
Well, but again,
she's very dominating. Maniyan is very dominating. Yeah. You feel like you have to do what he says.
And then you have the investigators head by this lieutenant. No, not the lieutenant. She's great, and her group, hot on their heels, and they sort of corner them. And even that is interestingly done, because they end up going to this farm region where there's a lot of cannabis build, and it's like another interesting way to sort of it subverts what you think will happen in the film. Like, you think it's going to be some huge sort of like battle and like, like whatever, but it's different. And I like that. Like, it's like, oh, this is way more realistic. This is what would really happen.
And it felt like they were making dumb decisions you would make. Like, I hate when I watch a movie, like, why did they do that? All they had to do was, but I feel like they were making these moves to next move to next move that made sense. That I was like, yeah, you probably have to do that. I can see why they did that. And they were making all these close calls, but they keep going and they're still on the run. And then they'd make some other U-turn, and you're like, yeah, that's probably the only move they had left. I love that it felt not reasonable. It felt logical that they would make these escape routes and these different, like you were saying, different places they were going. They got help from certain people. Then they moved to this other person. In the meantime, this whole political situation back, in where it all happened, the city where he's like, I got to catch these guys because it's my political career. Right. Yet everyone's entangled in the bullshit.
Yeah, there's like an election happening the next morning, so there's all this sort of. But and lastly, just where they end up at this farmhouse, which is in this beautiful sort of valley, and I could say, like, if I'd say, okay, I'm just going to stay here. This feels safe and this is relaxing, and I can see if anybody comes. But of course, people.
And you can see them kind of doing that too. Like, we'll probably be okay here.
Right. And because so it's a Malayalam film, which means there is this reality to the situation. It's not overblown. It is like, okay, I can see it, why I would make these decisions, like you said, and it's not going to end well, but how does it end? It ends the way it probably would have ended in real life.
It ends. The ending I thought was blow away. Like, again, I feel like the movie, we've seen so many crime films, it sort of started like, okay, hit somebody in a road, make your escape. You've seen this formula a million times. I feel like it did a lot of fresh things with it. A lot of things I didn't expect, including the ending, which was like getting a gut punch. Like, whoa.
The end, because 'Cause I remember I looked, I said, "Oh, there's only 3 minutes left. How's this gonna end?" And you
Amazing
realize
ending.
this is the
Great.
way it ends. Yeah. So
Such
it's
a good
really
ending.
well done, and
Yeah.
thank you for the recommendation to watch this
Yeah.
and review it. And, Nayattu, if you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix, and it's well
Really
worth your
solid
time.
crime drama, definitely worth seeing, really fresh, really good. Great
Yeah,
acting.
yeah.
Yeah,
Top to bottom, everything. It just feels like a real thing.
it really
That's the
does.
way I get. Yeah. So,
I have a
thanks
couple
again.
posters just to give
Oh
you a
yeah, yeah.
flavor.
Sure, sure. Okay, let's
So
do it.
we did a review of these posters when we did the trailer reaction, which you can also take a look at. But so here are 3 characters in their varying degrees of involvement. so,
Right,
so
right.
we have you see how small she is because not only is she a woman, that's what happens to women these things.
But
She wasn't really she's the most tragic, I feel like, 'cause she shouldn't even been there, and she even was kinda the one going, "I don't wanna go here, I don't wanna follow these guys,
right,
what am I doing here?"
right.
So I like that they kinda created her. She's in the front, but she's also the smallest, so that was kind of like a nice, hierarchy here of these actors. Then we have On the Run! Here we
Yeah.
are, run
Yep.
away!
And then this was kind
All
of
the great actors.
always the order in which they were running was this way
Yeah,
too.
it
Yeah.
was.
So
She was always lagging behind going,
yeah,
"Can I just turn a
yeah.
corner and get away?"
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's a nice action poster because this one, it almost looks kinda like a stagey drama, and this one, you definitely get the action flavor,
Right.
the kind of, dust getting set up as they run and, it's like, it is really good. So those are
Yeah.
good posters. I like
Yeah,
those.
and I wanna see other films that this guy Martin Prakkat did
Yeah,
because it's under his, kind of his umbrella, I think he makes really interesting films. I think he's
yeah,
involved in Ibarra, like the, Errata. Is that what it's called? Errata, yeah, that's
yeah,
coming out soon, so I
yeah, we'll
think he's
definitely do a
involved in this
review of
one.
that
Good,
trailer.
good, good.
So, yeah, be sure
Wonderful.
and join our membership. It's super fun. You get emojis, and then it's like you look really important on YouTube when you make comments, and, we'll pay more attention to you usually if there's not, like, 1,000 comments, but also, we'll definitely if you guys are making, requests, we're definitely you carry a lot more weight. You're like the VIPs of Cinemondo, so
Yes, the Slack
join up.
channel, the Discord channel, those are places where we go to all the time for
Yep,
these kind of requests. So
that's
thanks
right.
very much for requesting Nayatu. Check it out. We'll
So
see you
good.
guys soon. Take care,
Thanks.
everybody. Bye.
Bye.